my Courtyard. I am here today with our very special, fabulous guest, John Balletto of Balletto Vineyards, the proprietor, and also our, as always, our industry analyst, Jacques Brix, is here with us today. And we are enjoying a 2018 Balletto Pinot Gris. Usually we start the program by pouring it, but we just couldn't help ourselves. So we jumped into this. You may have noticed, John, the title of the episode is A Perfect Shot Put
I saw
Throw.
that.
Thank
you for reminding me, because it was such a fun year in high school when I went to the state championships that year, so it was great.
Well, John went to Annalee High School, which is a local high school in Sonoma County.
At Sebastopol.
And still holds the shot put throw record at the high school.
That is correct.
But, and it's quite a skill. I'm really curious about this. How did you learn how to do that? It's a hard thing to do.
Well, you know, when I was in 8th grade in Gravenstein Elementary, that summer between my 8th grade year and my freshman year, I started working out at this small gymnasium in Sebastopol, and there was 3 former Olympians working out there. They would come up and stay at the river, and they would come into town, and Al Feuerbach was one of them, and he held the Olympic shot put record, the world record actually, for a little bit. And they were working out there, and I just kind of got to know these guys. And
what were they doing in Northern California? Did they
lived down in San Jose, but they would come up and stay at the Russian River in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
This was 1972.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And so then they would work out there. Al Simcu, he held the teenage shot put record, world record for years, and they were working out in the small gym. And then I started working out with them. I just started throwing the shot put my freshman year of high school and kept getting better and better, and actually I had a private coach at one point. And yeah, it was fabulous. I ended up in the top 7 in the state of California in 1977.
Well, I was extremely impressed by that. I know that your skill and your determination has sort of carried itself through all the way to your career right now. And my understanding is that when you were 17, you did have an opportunity to continue on with school, and I believe your father passed away.
Right.
And you stayed with your mom to help her with the family business.
That is correct.
And what a big sacrifice, but what a wonderful thing to do.
You know, it was a sacrifice, but it's amazing when you talk to everyone. Everyone seems to have something that happens in their life that was a catalyst for something. And so when it was May of 1977 and I was recruited to go to San Jose State for track, and at the time San Jose State was one of the biggest areas in the whole country to train Olympians, not only for shot put, but discus and hammer throw and actually sprinting and different things. And I got recruited, and there was a morning in May where my mother, we had a 2-story house, and I slept upstairs. He was diagnosed with cancer January of 1977. And my mother answered the phone, and it was a coach from San Jose State, and he said, I'd like to offer your son a scholarship. And my mother said, I can't let my son go. I need him to help me. And I didn't tell my mother until 20 years later that I heard that phone call. And so a couple weeks later, graduated from high school. All my friends went to Disneyland again, and I went to work the next day growing vegetables. My mother and I started with 5 acres. I had my 67 GTO that I had to sell. We had the flatbed truck and 5 acres of vegetables, $200 in the bank in 1977. So that was kind of the catalyst and the inspiration. And when I tell the story again, there's so many folks, and your father was a big part of your life.
Yes, and it was a similar situation. But
Yeah.
the fortitude at 17 is really admirable and amazing. And that your start for everything was with a 5-acre vegetable garden.
Yeah, it was, again, yes, and thank you. I really appreciate the compliments. But my mother, who was 60 years old at the time, she had me late in life, was 5 foot tall, this really strong lady, and she would work harder than me. And that was another inspiration. Myself watching my mother, and we had to do this to survive. There was no extra help. I mean, here we are, 1977. So, I mean, the stores in Sebastopol, the Walmart was Joe's Budget, and my mother would shop at Joe's Budget, and then go to the nice clothing store once a year to get school clothes. So, we grew up in a time where we had to be frugal, but we also had to work hard to survive, and it was just a great community to grow up in.
Oh, I bet it was. And it was, I assume, obviously it was very rural at the time. And did you grow up, were there a lot of vineyards when you was the wine industry sort of a
there
thing
wasn't.
when you were
There was
in high school?
The vineyards were here north of Hillsburg, up in this area. Sebastopol was very much 95% apples. My brother worked at the cannery during the high school summers. Sometimes high school year was delayed, so the canneries at one time in the town of Sebastopol.
So then you made the conversion from vegetables to grapes.
Right.
And what year was that?
So my wife Terry and I, we purchased 40 acres up on the Sebastopol Hills area, which are Burnside Road property, and we purchased that in 1989, and we started building our house up there, and we started growing vegetables on the land, but there was not enough water to grow vegetables.
Oh, so you bought it specifically
growing. We were growing winter crops there, leeks and onions and different things. But in 1995, we planted our first wine grapes, and actually Michael DeLoach's dad gave us our first grape contract.
Oh, wow.
And we planted Pinot Noir, 20 acres, 10 acres of Chardonnay, and we planted 5 acres of Pinot Gris, which we're tasting
Yes.
right now.
Well, cheers
And
to that. That's fabulous.
We harvested our first grapes in 1998 off that.
My question is, did you just happen to, it just happened to be Russian River Valley? Did you know
It was
that
actually
it would
not
be,
Russian River Valley when we first planted.
Oh, it's Sonoma County.
It was Sonoma Coast or Sonoma County, and then about 10 years later, it was put into the Russian River Valley.
Well, and it's the perfect climate
Yes.
for what you make and what you grow.
I will tell you, the last couple nights up there in Sebastopol Hills, it's been like rain. The fog would come in about 6 o'clock and not leave until the morning, but we will get some sun this weekend and ripen things up. But the vegetable business in 77, when I started, a year later I leased 1 more acre. A year later after that, 5 more acres. And then when I was 21 in 1981, with the help of my high school counselor, Pete Barbieri, I bought my first ranch up on Gurnville Road, which was 40 acres.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I planted the whole 40 acres to zucchini squash, and we all know how much zucchini you get off of one plant.
Oh, yeah.
The medfly infestation hit that, I think, 1982 from San Jose south, and we had the only zucchini squash in Northern California. And we did very well, and with
Specialty restaurants.
Right.
And so it
well,
was
after purchased more property, and we started growing specialty lettuces, baby spinach, different things like that. We ended up with our salad packing line.
nice.
And by mid-90s, we were doing a million cartons of produce a year.
Were you involved in the marketing aspect as well?
That was all I was.
you
I was
did
involved
all-
in the growing side, but I had many people working for me on that. But the marketing side was the big thing. There was 3 of us that sold in the morning. We started about 4 o'clock in the morning, and by noon you have all the vegetables sold. We had our own trucking company. We had our own cooling area, distribution center, and around 1985, the Safeway stores came to me and said, will you plant more of this stuff for us? And that was, we kept growing that. And at our peak, we were about 800 acres of vegetables in Sonoma County. And then we contract farm with other farmers in Salinas, Watsonville, Coachella Valley, and Imperial Valleys. So we had a full 12-month-a-year production.
So that was basically your first career.
Yes.
Was vegetables.
Yes.
Now, I think it's important to remember when we're talking about Sebastopol and Russian River Valley, our county is all about the marine layer or the fog, and the significance of where you planted your fruit is that it's a very cool, the absolute best places to grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Yes, and we have our Cider Ridge Chardonnay and also
and on that
our
note,
Sexton Hill that we want to hopefully taste soon. And absolutely right. And the most wonderful thing about that area, it's the sand, it's the Gold Ridge soil. And are we on hold right now?
Oh no, we're looking at your map.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's fancy.
Yeah, so we have many different ranches up there. Our Sexton Hill Vineyard is on about a 40% slope.
Oh, on a 40% slope?
Chardonnay's over there.
And it's an absolute wonderful, wonderful piece of property. And we have Calera Pinot. We have 7 different Pinots up there. Calera, Mount Eden, Swan Clone, some Dijon 667, and
is the Calera, that clone I assume is from the Calera Winery, correct? Is
Yes.
that the, so
Yes.
did you
well, we
secure
were able to
that
get
from,
we were able to get the vines from a nursery 10 years ago.
Wow, I love
Yeah,
Calera.
it's really tough to get them now, but we were able to get them. And then this Chardonnay that we're drinking right now is our Cider Ridge Chardonnay. And what we did 10 years ago when we were planting the vineyard, we put it out to our wine club members on naming the vineyard. And they came back with all these different names. And so Kevin O'Neill, who sold our wine in Montana, he won the contest and came up with the Cider Ridge Vineyard. So that's where our Cider Ridge Pinot. And this has the Z clone in it, which has just, it's like a touch of honeysuckle.
Taste
And
it.
then we've got the Wente clone, and then we have the Robert Young clone. And the Robert Young, again, up here, the Robert Young Vineyard, we got the vines, we grafted the vines, the budwood from their vineyard a long time ago. And so
clearly you have some very, very good relationships in Sonoma County.
Yes.
Because you have some clones that are not very easy to have access to at all. And again, for those of you who are just joining us, we're with John Balletto from Balletto Vineyards, and we are tasting the Cider Ridge Chardonnay. Oh, is that
Pinot Gris?
that's Chardonnay right
that
there.
Chardonnay?
Yes.
Look how small the berries are.
Yeah. So that's a sandy, silty loam right there. That's beautiful soil.
It is beautiful
Yes.
soil.
Yes.
And what vineyard are you in right now?
So there, that's at Occidental Road. That's where our winery is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And that's Clone 4 Chardonnay.
Now, I am a very loyal wine club member, and I don't belong to very many wine clubs, but I'm a huge fan of all of your wines. And John's winemaker, Anthony, is extremely talented, but I think he has a very elegant winemaking style. You know, nothing is nothing's huge. Things are very well balanced. And even this Cider Ridge has some nice, rich components, but it's never, your wines are never cloying at all.
Well, Anthony has been with us since 2007. He actually lives, he's your neighbor here, just a couple
Yeah.
blocks over. And this is his 14th vintage now with us. And yeah, the wines are fantastic. In fact, the Cider Ridge Vineyard and the Sexton Hill Vineyard, he helped design the clones and different things that we planted there. And he likes to make the wines with lower alcohol. Sweet spot on the Pinots and the Chardonnays, and he does a great job for us. We are so blessed to have him be part of the team.
Yeah, he's a great guy too.
Yes. Yes.
So do you live on the original 40 acres?
So I live on the original 40 acres on the Burnside Road property. We also make a Burnside Road Chardonnay and a Burnside Road Pinot, and then a lot of the Pinot that comes off of there, the Pinot Noir, goes into our Russian River also. And it's a pretty good sized vineyard. All that Sebastopol Hills, we have about 120 acres up there now. So between Sexton, Cider Ridge, Burnside, and then my daughter, we just planted some grapes on her property on Sexton Road, so we call that Sexton Valley.
Well, and you're a true family operation.
We are, in fact,
Terry are very...
my wife Terry and I, we got married in 1988, but she worked alongside me since 1985. And
so you were together 3 years.
We were dating, and she would come and work on the weekends, and
she would work in the vineyards or in the vegetable garden.
She would work in the vegetables and load of produce to the Oakland Produce Market.
Oh,
and
that's fabulous.
I was driving a truck and trailer, and I didn't have my truck and trailer driver's license, and I didn't have the running lights on, so I got pulled over by the highway patrol. And I talked my way out of it, and no ticket, and he let me on my way. I don't know if that would happen. That was 1984. I don't know if that would happen today. They probably would have thrown me in jail. But yeah, Terry's been a huge help, a great partner. And in fact, today, a huge day for the Balletto family. My oldest daughter, Jacqueline, she's 28, and she left for college today, going to Tufts University to get her master's in business.
Wow.
And so she's going to be gone for 2 years, and we are going to miss her.
Oh.
And then her younger sister accompanied her, and they're going to have 5 or 6 days in Boston together, and then Katerina's flying home, and Jacqueline's going to be going to school there. So
well, and Jacqueline has done an amazing job of not only running the tasting room, but getting the new tasting room sort of designed and together. And she's been a great manager. And again, I know that as a wine club member, but you also have a brand new facility. So
we built a brand new hospitality center last year, and yeah, here we go. We're driving into the facility, and the building, the white building in the back, is our new barrel storage, and that's our tasting room patio. An event there, and then it's been closed since March 15th. Well, I'll tell you what, I was there 2 weeks ago tasting, and I would encourage anyone to taste there. They have a perfect setup under these COVID rules, and it's very safe, but it's also open air. And your staff, Jacqueline did a fabulous job of training your staff. Well, thank you. We have a great team, and in fact, Mo McElroy, who's been in the county for, over 35 years, she was hired to run our hospitality center, and now she's taken over for Jacqueline. So again, because the hospitality center is closed, and we're not sure when we're able to have big events again. So, and we've got a great, Heather, our marketing, and we just have a great team. Jacqueline's built a great team, and they had a big party for her on Sunday night. So. Well, that's exciting that she's going to get her MBA, and Tufts is hard to get into and a great school. I know that your secret desire may be for her to come back to run the winery someday. I would like for her and also her sister. Her sister works for Traditional Medicinals now doing marketing, and I would love it if they both come back for sure. And that's always you know, it's always a family dream to pass it on to the next generation.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, Tufts is also very fortunate to have a student at the university that's part of a family business, because Tufts is very focused on practical business management, and I'm sure they love that aspect. They like students who have had life experience and
Right.
who can contribute, because it's just a much better learning experience. So, wow, I'm really happy for her. I'm sad for you for 2 years.
Yes, well, you know, it's her mom was deeply upset this morning when she dropped him off at the airport.
Well,
but
I know.
you know, but it's going to be a great experience for Jacqueline, and her first class is actually tomorrow, so she's jumping right in.
Oh,
Yeah. She had to learn a second language to qualify, so
that says a
took
lot
her
about
6
the
months.
school.
6 months, and when she was accepted, and then they said, "Hey, you have to learn a second language in order to qualify," because they travel the world when they're in school.
So is that part of the MBA program?
It is it's mandatory
Wow, that
that.
is wonderful.
And which language did she
But
choose?
she's taking Spanish.
Yes,
Good. I was
which makes a
gonna-
lot
So,
of sense. Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Good.
Spanish is important in our industry.
It's very
extremely-
important.
Do you speak Spanish?
Very important. Oh, very well.
You
well,
do?
it's probably slang Spanish. It's more of ranch Spanish. Working together for over 35 years, so yeah.
Well, good for you.
I mean,
I
that's-
speak
yeah.
production Spanish, but
Yeah.
wow, that's
I don't speak Italian. I wish I did.
Convert from vegetable to vines. What's the huge difference?
Right, so 1995 we planted the 35 acres, and then the plan was to go ahead and every couple years we were going to plant 20 acres just to become diversified.
Yeah.
And so we had a major crisis happen in 1998. We planted our vegetables in March, and the rains came along and flooded them out. April, they flooded them out, and in May, it flooded out. We
Oh,
had 3 El Nino rainstorms
El Nino year.
that year.
That's right.
And so that really affected our business, and our bank wasn't too happy with us at the time. So we had to decide if we were going to take this beautiful land that we've acquired over a 25-year period and start planting wine grapes, or sell the land, or move our company to the Salinas Valley. So we had basically 3 choices.
Oh wow, and that's a huge
And so,
decision.
so that's how we did what we did. We borrowed more money and started planting wine grapes. Again, we had some great contracts, but Sideways was a few years before that. So the Pinot Noir was
Oh, so
things were heating up. Things were good. Contracts were easy to get back then. And so that's what we did. And we actually sold our vegetable company in 2001 to a family in Salinas because we had a great marketing arm, and we were producing and shipping a lot of cartons.
well, it
grapes.
sounds like you also had the infrastructure in place. You already had the trucking and the delivery.
We
and
had yes. We sold off
contracts.
the marketing, the labels, all the trucking companies, all the cooling, but we kept the building and all of our land to plant wine grapes, and that's what we did. By 2001, we had 300 acres in the ground of grapes, and then we all remember what happened in 2001. So after
Well, tell people what happened
well,
in 2000.
well,
yeah, we remember.
9/11 happened in 2001. So
but it
1998,
affected our industry in a huge
1999,
way.
we were planting. In 2000, we were planting wine grapes. So by 2001, the spring of 2000 happened that year in September. And basically, that was the first vintage of Balletto wine, was 2001.
Yeah, and our industry really shut down for
Basically,
6 months. Everything stopped in the wine industry, which people.
yes.
Sorry, go on.
That's exactly correct. So
It was
we
crazy.
We sold all our grapes that year. We made 400 cases of Pinot and Chardonnay, which we still have some of them which which is great. We still have some of them in our cellar. And you could not be a new label coming to market. That was the most difficult thing there was. Until 2003, and we did not increase production until 2005. Again, Sideways came out in 05. Things kind of exploded. And so we went from 400 cases. Now we produce 26 to 30,000 cases, depending on the year. Anthony handpicks about 10% of the acres for him. And we also make a great Rosé Pinot. And so we have 8 vineyard designate Pinots, 4 vineyard designate Chardonnays, and then a Russian River, and then a Teresa Chardonnay.
Well, one thing I would recommend for anyone who's purchasing the Balletto wine or becoming a wine club member, it's really up different vineyards of Chardonnay. They're very different. It's not, none of your wines have subtle differences. When there are 4 different vineyards side by side, they all have distinctly different qualities.
Right.
So it's not, occasionally you go to a winery and everything sort of tastes the same, but I found that to be true with both your Chardonnays and your Pinots. Everything is extremely distinctive, but you have the benefit of choosing which vineyards and choosing the best lots.
Well, that's a great picture of our Cider Ridge Vineyard.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow.
So great. It's a beautiful site, just a spectacular site. And it has a northeast facing slope, so we get the morning sun. There's our Burnside Road property. Again, that's plum trees lining the driveway up to our house. And yeah, we've got some great vineyard
that's
sites.
beautiful.
Yes.
Sexton Hill. That's pretty steep.
Sexton Hill, about half of it, you couldn't plant it today because of the slope.
Oh, because
And-
of regulations.
Exactly. So pretty fortunate we got that planted in the right time.
Wow. Well, it's lovely property.
Yeah.
Okay, and now
Well, this is our 18 barrel Pinot.
18 barrel. Now, how did you come up with the name?
We 7 years ago we sat around a table and this took about a month to come up with.
Wow.
We wanted to make a Pinot that stood out. We wanted to make something different. This
Wow.
Pinot it's 33% Sexton Hill, 33%
Oh, my gosh.
Cider Ridge, and 33% Burnside Road.
Wow.
Yeah, and we only make 18 barrels a year.
Well, and Anthony, again, he chooses which barrels he wants.
That is correct.
And within a lot of any wine, there are always barrels that are better than others. And since wine is a living, changing thing, even if sometimes it's even the same barrels, there are always barrels that are better. And so
Yes.
this is like you choose the best of the best.
Exactly.
Wow, I haven't even tasted
And
it
our
yet.
16
Oh, there.
our 18 barrel, that's some beautiful Pinot.
That's from yesterday, right? Is it?
Right, that is
Right.
that's
at Occidental Road. That is Clone 9. Yeah. But our 18 barrel won the Pigs and Pinot contest.
Well,
Big. That's a big.
you've won everything.
Yes.
You've won so many things.
So,
And actually, sorry, I'll put in my little. John and I were I won the best white wine at the Harvest Fair the same
That's
year
right.
you got best red wine. So
Right.
I had my moment in the sun with Balletto, which was very exciting. I did see an article that described you as, and I quote, the Prince of Pinot.
oh, well, I don't know about that, but
Well, there is a
It's
big
in
article.
the article, so it's
Wow.
got to be
Well,
true.
you're winning all sorts of awards, and the Pigs and Pinot thing is huge because it's Pinots from all over the world, basically.
well, my responsibility. We have so many different vineyards and so many different clones of Pinot to choose from, but honestly, we have a great winemaking team and a great staff that helps put it all together.
Well, one thing I love that I've witnessed myself, it seems like every time you win something, you're really excited and surprised. Like the pigs and Pinot thing, and I know, you know, you don't expect that to happen, and it's such a
Sometimes I think, not just myself, but all of us who are in the industry, you got to pinch yourself once in a while because
yeah.
look where we are. Here we are in Sonoma County. We're growing grapes, we're making wine, we're sharing it with friends and family. My God,
I know.
I
we're,
mean-
we're so lucky.
we're so fortunate, but yes, we have to work hard in order to maintain the quality. At the end of the day, we're all very fortunate.
Oh yeah, and at the end of
and
the day,
so,
we're
yeah.
enjoying good food that's local,
Yeah.
and we're drinking great wine.
I mean, she came across the United States to live with her sister in California, and my mother taught me, save your money and buy property and do this. And my God, you know, yes, we work hard, but we're also very lucky. And you know the other thing about the wine business compared to the vessel business, the vessel business is a very competitive, cutthroat thing, because you might, and this is a true story, you might have 2,000 cases of lettuce to sell that day, and the market will be $8, and somebody will offer you $6, and you say no, and then they call back and offer you $7, and you say no, and then they call you a few, you know, names that you can't repeat. And then at 9 o'clock, they'll call and say, well, I'll take it for $8. I mean, that was the vegetable business, just a cutthroat thing. But honestly, I would say 98% of the people in the wine business in Sonoma County, they want to work together. They're friends. If you have a problem, how can you not love it? I tell my kids, you know, it's here. I hope you come back and enjoy this. It's a great way of life. Great way to raise a family, and it's an opportunity also, because you run a business. We have over 75 employees, taking care of them to make sure their families are doing well and supporting that, and that's a big deal for
well,
us.
yes, and I agree with you, and I think we've actually had this conversation in the vineyard once, that the biggest honor and responsibility you have as a business owner are the people you support. They're an
Right.
extension of your family, and
Right.
when times are hard after 9/11 or 2008,
Currently.
or right now, you know,
Yes.
it's the first thing that always matters is family and the extended family.
Exactly.
So that's an important. You know, one thing that I really think people don't understand about the wine industry, especially for you, more so than me or Anthony and I work hard, of course, but you as the owner of these vineyards and a grower and a farmer at heart, I've seen you during harvest. Could you just briefly say what your schedule is on an average harvest day?
Let me have a sip of wine.
It's amazing. This gentleman works
Yeah, so-
very hard.
So on the growing side, our responsibility is to bring in the grapes when the wineries would like them, and so we start at 2 o'clock in the morning. So the day before, we'll be out there
Oh, wow.
prepping with
Oh,
lights
wait,
and
well,
everything,
Here we are.
and
Yeah.
and so everything will get ready the night before, and then the crews will come out. We'll start at 2 in the morning. We set up a scale, so we weigh every bin or gondola that comes in, so that way the crew knows at the end of the day how much they picked, which is very important. And so right there you've got someone there sorting the grapes out, getting the leaves out of there to make sure we bring in the best quality. So 2 in the morning start, usually get done harvesting 11 o'clock that day or noon or so.
But-
And then now we're planning for the next day already. Got to recon the day and then get everything set up. And then my job is to line up all the harvesting. So, and then also then I'm out there with the crews from start to finish, and then line up the harvesting for the next day.
Yeah, John is physically there doing it. You're
Right.
and you're the maestro who orchestrates everything.
You know,
It's pretty
I love it.
complicated.
I hope
I know you do.
I hope I can do this for another 5 or 10 years, because I love it, especially things go right and we get a lot of work done and everything like that. At first it was difficult picking with lights 7, 8 years ago, but now the employees love it because it's cool of the day.
Yeah.
And we can get a lot more work done early, and we've got it pretty much dialed in.
Yeah,
And that's a big deal.
And this is a fairly new development. It's becoming a standard in the industry.
It is. The wineries like it when the grapes come in cool. They don't have to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it is easier on the workers, but it's that video footage is fun to see.
I had a question about as a grower. That do you kind of pick and choose the wineries that don't buy your grapes?
Well, of course he does.
Well, I mean, it's your baby.
I'm a little tiny. I'm
right?
a little tiny winery that buys grapes. So I'm joking around, but
Well, again, relationships are big, especially in the wine business. And yes, we do a lot of business with people that in wineries that we love to do business with, and they work together very well. We came in 2018, there was a big crop, and then 2019 a little less, but still there's some wine and things left over from the 18 vintage, and we don't have any of that excess. But so when you came to 2020 to sell all your grapes, sometimes you have to sell to wineries and things that you don't know or it's brand new. So yes, we like to do as much business as we can with the folks we want to do business with, because it's really important, and you really find out who your partners are out there, especially when you have a rain event or a weather event, and you have to get something done quickly. You have to get it done before the rain comes in, and you're working together. So that's a big deal.
yeah, and the contract is only as good as. I mean, it's important that the wineries and the growers need to be flexible with each other.
We always have a saying: if you have to open up the contract and read it during harvest, there's a problem.
Exactly.
But we're very fortunate. We've got some great partners. But again, in our industry right now, there's some changes happening. There's some consolidation and things like that, and so
tell people what you mean by consolidation.
yeah. So you've got right now, Ferrari Carano was just purchased by the Foley family.
Yeah,
so
everybody's getting
I'm sure
bigger.
that's going to be great. I know Mr. Foley is creating a nice portfolio of different wineries and things like that. But again, a great family business, and Mr. Carano passed away, so.
So the big
sold it.
people are getting
Yeah.
bigger, and some of the small
Yes.
people. But I have to tell you, it's pretty amazing because some of the larger people you sell to. What's a large winery you sell to? I know there are a lot of them. Okay, Sonoma-Cutrer. So Mick Schroeder, who's a fabulous
Wonderful.
winemaker at Sonoma-Cutrer, I can guarantee you that the quality of service that he gets from you when he buys your grapes is no different than the quality of service that I receive when I buy your grapes. And
Yes,
I only
absolutely.
buy 3 tons, and Sonoma-Cutrer must buy a lot. So,
Yes. But you're absolutely right,
but
and we
and
strive on that.
You treat
My saying, and I've got big signs all over the tasting room, all over warehouse. It's one customer at a time for life. That's our motto.
one customer. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yep.
That's wonderful. So, going back to our original conversation, which was you were 17, you learned a lot. You held the record in the shot put throw. What would you say is the biggest quality that you've maintained that's allowed you to go from being a 17-year-old and starting to work hard to doing what you're doing today?
Never give up. I have it on my door. Hard getting started, but 1998 was also, I mean, basically, when we had our first 3 crops get wiped out, our bank called me up on a conference call when it was raining. I wrote me a check for $1 million and said unsecured, and said pay me back when you can. That's a true story.
Wow.
So never give up.
That's the advice you'd give.
Paid him back in
young
3
person.
years, and we never gave up. So I think we're in one of the greatest countries in the world. So for
I agree with
opportunity,
that.
And people ask me that all the time. Isn't the wine business so much more romantic than vegetables? But vegetables got us to a point where we could plant wine grapes and be in that business, and we're doing very well. But we're doing very well because we have a great, my wife Terry and our family, and then all of our employees. We must have 40 or 50 people that have been there 10 years to 35 years. So
Well,
we really strive on that.
well, and you have two fabulous, smart, industrious daughters who
Yes,
will take over the reins someday, perhaps. That's exciting.
we hope so. Yes.
So, in closing, I would encourage anyone to visit Balletto if you are ever in Sonoma County. I would say it's a must stop. And again, it's the wines are amazing, the hospitality is great, but wow, this is my new favorite Pinot.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolutely delicious.
Me too.
Isn't it great?
I opened it, I tasted it first, I said, wow.
It's so good. And
You know, that was a story that my wife Terry loves sparkling, and Anthony, this is, gosh, but 2010 was our first vintage. So in like 2006, let's see, he started in 07, so it'd be 2008. We came up for a meeting, and he had a stack of papers, and he wanted to present us to make it sparkling. And I said, well, we got to do it. And I said, well, when we can release the 08? And he said, well, not until probably 4 years. I said, well, we got to start it right now.
Terry wants it now.
Yeah. So that's what we did, and started with the sparkling, and that is a celebration wine. It's a great thing to have if you're having a wine club dinner, or just a winemaker dinner, or just getting together with friends. And that's another thing why I so love the business. So.
Well, you've done a fabulous job, and I again, you're the epitome of a family-owned business that is in the business of wine, and thank you for all that you've done for Sonoma County.
Oh gosh.
I mean, you really have.
We all got to giving back to this wonderful place is easy, because we have so many great community members, and thank you for all your support.
Oh, absolutely, and I look forward to buying a little Gewürztraminer this year.
Yes, yes. In fact, we got a sugar
tiny
sample.
growers.
It's 21 bricks, but
Oh.
I know you don't pick till it's like 26.
I
so.
know. Okay, that's
It's okay.
That'll be an ongoing conversation.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yes, he doesn't have on his door, it's okay. I can guarantee you that. So John, thank you so much. This
Oh my
wine is
gosh, my
wonderful.
pleasure. I'm
And,
honored to be here, especially on your porch here, and you have such a wonderful spot here in Hillsburg. And gosh, come visit the Selby.
Okay. See you next week in the Courtyard.